In
There are forests that people believe they have brought completely under control. Patrol roads have been widened. Protective fences have been reinforced. Surveillance cameras have been installed along the trails. Yet, whenever night falls, strange signs begin to appear. Footprints are left in the snow, only to vanish abruptly in the middle of an open clearing. Deer throughout the area become unusually alert. Livestock on farms bordering the forest are repeatedly attacked without anyone ever seeing the predator responsible. All of these clues point to one unmistakable fact. The wolf pack has returned, and it is moving with almost flawless caution. Unlike predators that rely solely on instinct, wolves possess an extraordinary ability to learn. They quickly remember places where they have encountered danger and rarely make the same mistake twice. For that reason, setting a trap is far more than simply hiding a device beneath the soil or covering it with a few branches. To outsmart a fully grown wolf's vigilance, one must first understand how it perceives the world. Every step it takes, every pause to catch a scent, and every glance over its shoulder is part of an ongoing assessment of the safety of its surroundings.
And he was just already getting close to the head.
For weeks on end, wildlife management specialists resisted the urge to deploy traps. Instead, they devoted most of their time to studying the pack's movement patterns. The wolves crossed shallow streams, followed the hillsides, and frequently stopped at locations that offered broad vantage points. Gradually, the map of their movements emerged like an invisible maze woven through the forest. It was there that the trap was installed with near-perfect precision. Every trace of human presence was carefully erased. The ground was leveled to match its natural texture. Dry leaves were returned to their original positions, and unfamiliar scents were minimized to avoid altering the animal's perception of their environment.
with ease.
But the real challenge did not begin until nightfall. The alpha wolf appeared first. Rather than moving straight ahead, it repeatedly stopped to observe its surroundings. The wind shifted, carrying the familiar scents of the ancient forest. The wolf slowly advanced a few more meters before suddenly turning back, as though it had sensed something was wrong. The entire observation team watched the monitors in complete silence. A single unusual reaction could cause the entire pack to abandon this route for months to come. Yet after several minutes of careful inspection, the wolf appeared to regain its confidence. It continued forward, placing each step deliberately along the familiar trail. the decisive moment arrived more quickly than anyone had expected. As the animal's weight pressed precisely on the pre-selected point, the trap mechanism was triggered instantly. The rapid response team arrived within minutes to carry out established wildlife management procedures, ensuring the safety of both the animal and the people involved. Every action was performed with great care, minimizing stress and avoiding unnecessary injury whenever possible.
Wow, you are a pretty dog. On the trap, but it's also a one. It's gonna be feisty. Feisty. Trying to miss the box. Oh, good God.
However, capturing a single wolf did not mean victory. Just a few days later, the surveillance cameras recorded obvious changes. The remaining wolves began avoiding the old area, became active later at night, and started using entirely new routes. They seemed to realize that their once familiar environment was no longer as safe as it had been. As a result, the specialists were forced to begin again, continuing to monitor, analyze, and refine their strategy. That is why many people believe the conflict between humans and wolves has never truly been a contest of strength. It is a competition between the power of observation and the ability to adapt. Every fresh footprint left on the forest floor is a message, and every subtle change in behavior has the potential to reshape an entire plan. In the vast wilderness, where nature constantly follows its own laws, the most effective trap is not the one concealed with the greatest skill, but the one set by those who truly understand the mind of one of the world's most intelligent predators.
In the deep wilderness where humans rarely tread.
Many years ago, cattle ranchers living near a vast mountain region only occasionally heard wolves howling on cold nights. They rarely caused serious problems. But as their numbers increased, everything began to change. At first, there were tracks in the snow. Then young calves started disappearing. Soon, the livestock became restless night after night, gathering together in tight groups. Farmers quickly realized they were facing an opponent far more intelligent than they had ever imagined. What made the situation even more concerning was that the problem was not limited to livestock losses. Security cameras captured wolves moving with remarkable organization and coordination. They appeared in multiple locations during the same night, splitting into smaller groups before reuniting again. Some individuals remained at a distance, watching the area, while others quietly approached the grazing grounds. Many ranch owners soon understood that adding more fences or increasing patrols was no longer enough. The wolves had adapted to the changes created by humans. To find a long-term solution, wildlife specialists were invited to survey the area. They spent days monitoring the region with infrared cameras and using bait to attract the animals. Thousands of hours of footage revealed that the wolf pack frequently traveled along established routes, yet constantly changed their timing to avoid becoming predictable. Some individuals even checked for signs of human activity before leading the rest of the pack through the area. After identifying the most important travel corridor, the management team implemented a new strategy. Instead of relying on aggressive methods such as hunting, they used capture devices carefully concealed within the natural environment while minimizing any trace of human scent. Sensors and cameras operated continuously, nearly invisible among the grass and shrubs. The goal was not to drive the wolves away, but to accurately monitor their movements and select the appropriate individual for intervention. The first few days required tremendous patience. The wolves often appeared at the edge of the monitored area, sniffed the air, and quietly disappeared. On some nights, they stood on a high ridge for long periods, observing without taking another step forward. Specialists noticed that the pack constantly evaluated its surroundings and would immediately change direction if anything seemed unusual. This caution was one of the main reasons why many previous control efforts had failed. During the second week, an unexpected development occurred. Cameras recorded the pack leader appearing near a small stream that it regularly used as part of its route. As the lead animal, it always checked the safety of an area before allowing the rest of the pack to move through. The wolf paused for a long time, carefully observing its surroundings before slowly continuing forward. Just seconds later, the control system was activated exactly as planned. However, what surprised the specialists most was the reaction of the remaining wolves. As soon as the signal was received, the management team immediately arrived at the site. After assessing the animal's condition and ensuring its safety, they brought a specialized transport cage to the capture location. Every step was carried out carefully to reduce stress on the wolf. Within a short time, the animal was safely secured inside the enclosure and prepared for relocation. The specialized vehicle transported the wolf to a wildlife conservation area. The objective was not to eliminate wolves, but to reduce conflicts between wildlife and people. By studying wolf behavior and travel patterns, managers were able to apply more effective solutions. When a safe distance is maintained, both livestock and wild animals have a greater chance of coexisting in a stable and sustainable way. The story between humans and wolves will likely continue for many years to come. However, modern wildlife management programs demonstrate that understanding animal behavior is often far more effective than confronting it with force. In the wild, knowledge can sometimes be the most powerful tool of all. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to follow our future journeys. Over the past several years, wolves have gradually returned to many rural and mountainous regions across Russia.
Going together and move.
For biologists, this is often viewed as a sign that ecosystems are recovering. But for many ranchers and livestock owners, the growing presence of these predators has created new challenges. From large farms bordering dense forests to remote mountain communities, signs of wolf activity are becoming increasingly common. Wolves track livestock, use the terrain to their advantage, and sometimes cause significant losses for farmers. Once a pack establishes territory in an area, the pressure on livestock can persist for months, forcing rural communities to continually search for more effective ways to protect their animals. As pressure from wolf packs continues to grow, many ranch owners have been forced to invest heavily in protecting their livestock. They install surveillance cameras, reinforce fencing, use warning systems, and hire professional wildlife control teams when necessary.
Come on.
However, unlike many opportunistic predators, wolves are highly coordinated pack hunters. They memorize terrain, learn from experience, and quickly change their behavior when they sense danger. This turns wolf management into a prolonged battle strategy, where even a small mistake can undo weeks of preparation. In modern wildlife management, steel foothold traps are considered one of the most important tools in areas experiencing high levels of predation. However, deploying them is far more complex than many people assume. Control teams spend days surveying the landscape, searching for tracks, for caught on fences, scent marking locations, and the travel routes wolves use most often. Every trap is carefully positioned to take advantage of the animal's natural movement patterns rather than forcing them toward a specific location. Before any trap is set, specialists typically monitor the area using infrared cameras and motion sensors to better understand behavior of the entire pack. They record activity times, approach routes, and locations where wolves frequently stop to observe their surroundings. The most important objective is to avoid making the area appear unusual. Even the slightest sign of danger can cause an entire pack to change its route and disappear from the area for weeks. As a result, most of the operation is spent watching and waiting rather than actually setting traps. Once a suitable location has been identified, steel foothold traps are installed along natural travel corridors. These pathways often develop over many years of repeated use, following creek banks, mountain passes, and forest edges where wolves feel safest. Rather than moving randomly across the landscape, most wolf packs rely on familiar routes that have been used for generations. Understanding these invisible corridors greatly increases control effectiveness without expanding the area of intervention. However, even with increasingly advanced surveillance technology and years of field experience, managing wolves remains a difficult task. They work as a team, remember their surroundings, and adapt their behavior quickly. An area that remains quiet for several months can suddenly show fresh signs of wolf activity after a single breeding season. When one route becomes heavily monitored, new travel corridors often emerge deeper in the forest or farther away from areas with regular human activity. Ultimately, the story of wolves is about far more than steel foothold traps, surveillance equipment, or wildlife control programs. It highlights the complexity of balancing wildlife conservation with the protection of human livelihoods. Every improvement in management brings new challenges because the opponent is not a simple animal, but an intelligent predator that has adapted to its environment for thousands of years. And in the end, the question remains, are humans truly controlling the return of wolves, or are we simply learning to live alongside a part of nature that never completely disappeared?
This night, so we're gonna get her out. We're gonna put a little bit of that. Guess that it's gonna be a female.
For some time recently, residents living near forested areas have repeatedly reported the presence of wolves around farms and livestock facilities.
A coyote
At
chasing a
first,
chihuahua
they
in the
appeared
backyard.
only at considerable distances, but over time, they gradually moved closer to areas where domestic animals were kept. Many people directly observed wolves traveling along fences or appearing near paths leading into agricultural properties. Most sightings occurred in the early morning or around dusk. Some packs even approached livestock enclosures before quickly leaving the area. The increasing frequency of these appearances over several days raised growing concerns among local residents about their potential impact. The presence of wolves quickly created significant effects on local life. Livestock owners became increasingly concerned about the safety of cattle, poultry, and other small domestic animals. Many families reinforced fences or increased inspections of their barns and enclosures each evening. In addition to the potential losses involving livestock, the frequent appearance of wolves also affected the community's sense of security. In some areas, residents reduced outdoor activities at night to avoid unwanted encounters. In response to the situation, trapping efforts began in areas frequently used by wolves. Observers spent time identifying routes where signs of wolf activity repeatedly appeared before selecting suitable trap locations. Areas near trails, forest edges, and fence lines were often given priority. The trapping system was carefully positioned to match the wolves' movement patterns.
You notice when I make the dirt around it. And that's why wax sand, if you dig your bed correctly.
It was also prepared to improve the chances of attracting them into the controlled area. Throughout the process, the surrounding environment was kept as unchanged as possible to avoid altering the natural behavior of the wolf packs.
You remember what?
The main reason wolves continued returning to the area was closely linked to their search for food. When natural food sources became less abundant or harder to access, livestock operations became attractive targets. Many wolf packs remembered locations where they had previously found food and returned out of habit. In response, residents combined trapping efforts with several other control measures.
They say
various deterrent activities were carried out to limit the wolves' ability to approach livestock. Despite these efforts, wolves continued appearing for many consecutive days, indicating that the challenge remained significant. After the trapping system had been in place for some time, those managing the operation began reviewing all previously established trap locations. Some sites proved more effective because they were positioned directly along the wolves' regular trap route. In contrast, locations showing little activity were adjusted or moved to more suitable areas. Bait was also changed when necessary to maintain its effectiveness. These reviews and adjustments gradually made the trapping system better suited to the actual behavior. This stage was considered important before clear control results could be achieved.
And then some gray fox urine on the of it, just a little bit. I mean, very, very little. That you can also get at Shop Carolina Coat. We're gonna put a little.
So yesterday, I don't know, I'd change the name of it, honestly.
After many days of monitoring and adjustments, the expected result finally appeared. At one of the previously selected locations, a wolf was found caught in a trap. The control system functioned as intended when the animal entered the baited area. Observers documented the event directly during a routine inspection of the site. The successful capture demonstrated that the process of identifying travel routes and selecting deployment locations had been effective.
After she got caught last night.
I want to get over here. For the animal, when he first gets in there, he'll back and trap a little.
Following this event, the frequency of wolf sightings around the area began to decline compared to earlier periods. Residents continued maintaining necessary protective measures to reduce the likelihood of wolves returning, while also preserving long-term stability for the local livestock operations.
On the fields along the northern forest edge, within just a few short weeks, dozens of livestock disappeared, leaving farmers with fear and enormous economic losses. Barns and fences remained intact, yet every morning, wet soil revealed footprints leading straight into the forest. The wolves were not merely hunting instinctively. They had learned to move with precision, avoiding all conventional traps and striking at times when farmers least expected, causing losses of hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single night. Realizing that regular patrols were ineffective, the farmers tried several direct approaches. Some attempted to catch wolves with nets, but due to the animals' speed and vigilance, these efforts yielded almost no results. Eventually, they collaborated with a wildlife management team to deploy a trapping system. The first strategy was cage traps placed along trails identified by footprints and drag marks. The sturdy steel cages were large enough to hold adult wolves and contained enticing bait such as raw meat or small offal. The cages were camouflaged with branches, forest leaves, and a thin layer of mud, making it difficult for wolves to recognize the danger. After several days of monitoring with infrared cameras and remote tracking, wolves began appearing around the cage traps. Some were successfully captured overnight, quickly checked by medical staff to ensure they were healthy and uninjured, and then relocated to designated protected areas. This approach ensured the wolves' safety while allowing managers to analyze individual behavior, assess population status, and adjust trap placement strategies accordingly. Other wolves remained cautious, circling without entering the cages. At this stage, foothold traps were deployed. Placed near narrow paths and dense vegetation, these traps were designed to hold a wolf's paw without causing serious injury. Trap locations were calculated based on the pack's patrol behavior, often along worn dirt paths or near water sources. These traps complemented the cage traps, providing additional opportunities to capture intelligent, wary wolves while dispersing pressure from the pack across open fields. Foothold traps were checked multiple times daily to ensure that any trapped wolf would not experience excessive stress and could be handled quickly.
Right, so if you want to bunch up a little bit while we're releasing.
The combination of cage and foothold traps created a double effect. When one wolf was captured in a cage, it altered the behavior of the entire pack, causing the remaining wolves to move into pre-prepared locations. After several days, some wolves were successfully captured, and farmers began to notice a significant reduction in livestock attacks.
In the U.S., wolf
However,
hunting is not
the
done
remaining
recklessly.
clever wolves remained vigilant. This is when the final strategy was implemented: direct hunting using bows or long-range firearms to manage dangerous individuals already accustomed to traps. Hunters chose times when wolves moved out of the forest into open fields, minimizing noise and carefully observing behavior. Bow hunting required precise skill and served as an effective tool to reduce wolf pressure on the farms. Once the last individuals were controlled, farmers observed a clear change. Livestock no longer disappeared unexpectedly, and fences and barns remained intact. The integrated system of cage traps, foothold traps, and direct hunting proved effective, significantly reducing losses while stabilizing the wolf population, protecting farmers' livelihoods, and respecting conservation rules. Throughout the process, every action, from trap placement to inspection and retrieval, was recorded on camera to ensure transparency and safety. The data helped predict pack behavior, optimize trap locations, and plan patrol schedules. To see detailed demonstrations of each trap type, strategic placement, and effective wolf tracking techniques, follow the channel and turn on notifications. The demonstration videos guide how to protect livestock and safely manage wildlife.
At first, no one realized anything unusual was happening. The fields looked as peaceful as ever. The fences remained intact. No strange sounds echoed through the night. Yet little by little, unusual signs began to appear. A few young livestock animals failed to return with the herd. Sheep became increasingly alert whenever darkness settled over the landscape. Then, along the damp soil at the edge of the forest, unfamiliar tracks began to emerge. They stretched across the ground in a clear path, as if something had memorized every corner of the area long ago. Those mysterious visitors were wolves. They may not possess the overwhelming strength of a bear or the explosive speed of a cheetah, but they are masters of coordinated hunting. Every member of the pack serves a specific role. They communicate, work together, and use the terrain in ways few predators can match. That is exactly why managing wolves has always been such a difficult challenge. To better understand their opponent, wildlife management teams began installing surveillance cameras throughout key areas. Over time, the footage revealed a much larger picture of the pack's movements and behavior. The results showed that wolves rarely travel at random. Instead, they rely on familiar travel corridors that have been used for years. These routes often follow creek beds, hillsides, and dense stretches of forest that provide both cover and security. Once these movement patterns were identified, experts moved on to the next phase. Rather than scattering traps across a wide area, they focus on locations wolves were almost certain to pass through. These natural bottlenecks included narrow trails and confined pathways where multiple routes eventually converged into a single point. The foothold trap was carefully concealed with extraordinary attention to detail. The ground was restored to appear as natural as possible. Dry leaves, grass, and surface soil were meticulously arranged to eliminate any sign of disturbance. Even human scent was minimized as much as possible. With their remarkably sensitive sense of smell, wolves can detect even the smallest change in their surroundings. If they sense something unusual, an entire pack may abandon the area and shift to a completely different route. However, the key to success was never the trap itself. The real challenge was understanding wolf behavior. Wolves are extremely cautious animals. They rarely rush towards something unfamiliar. Before making a decision, they often stop to observe, evaluate, and inspect their surroundings multiple times. That is why behavioral research became the most important part of the entire process. Every track, every appearance on camera, and every subtle change in movement patterns provided valuable information. After weeks of monitoring, the moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. On one of the surveillance screens, a mature wolf appeared along the edge of the monitored area. It moved calmly down a trail the pack had used many times before. Nothing seemed out of place. Nothing triggered suspicion. As it stepped onto a location that had been carefully selected in advance, the trap mechanism was activated instantly. The entire event unfolded in a fraction of a second. Moments later, the wildlife management team arrived to carry out the proper procedures. But capturing a single wolf did not mean the story was over. The remaining wolves quickly responded to the change. They adjusted their routes, altered their activity patterns, and became far more cautious. As a result, wildlife specialists were forced to continue adapting as well. The ongoing contest between humans and one of nature's most intelligent predators had entered a new phase. Managing wolves has never been simply about traps or equipment. It is a process built on patience, observation, and a deep understanding of behavior. In the vast wilderness, where every track tells a story, the ultimate advantage belongs to the side that understands its opponent best.
Little points on my trap right there. Down in there, like so.
Hand-foot catch, which is an idea.
It all began with silence. There were no howls echoing through the night. No clear signs of chaos appeared around the farms. Only unexplained gaps. A few young calves went missing. Sheep herds became unusually restless whenever night fell. And then, on the soft mud beside the fence, footprints appeared. They were not wandering aimlessly. They moved as if they had memorized every tree root, every stream gap, and every trail cutting through the forest. The wolves were returning. Unlike many other predators, wolves do not rely on sheer strength. They win through coordination. A pack can track a target for hours, memorize terrain, and change tactics in the middle of a pursuit. This is what turns controlling them into a long game of strategy, where every move must be carefully calculated. Infrared cameras were deployed along natural movement corridors, night after night. The footage began to reveal an invisible network stretching across the mountains and forests. Wolves did not move randomly. They used fixed routes passed down through generations. These paths were like hidden highways understood only by them. Once the movement patterns were decoded, the next phase began. Instead of placing traps everywhere, wildlife control teams focused on natural choke points. These could be narrow passages between cliffs, a dry stream bed, or a gap between dense clusters of trees. The goal was not to force a wolf into a trap. The goal was to place the trap exactly where it was already going to pass. The steel foothold trap was prepared so carefully it almost disappeared into the ground. Each layer of dry leaves was meticulously repositioned. Soil was dusted to match the surrounding environment. Even human scent had to be minimized as much as possible. With a sense of smell far beyond many other animals, wolves can detect a single unusual detail that the human eye would miss. One small mistake was enough to make an entire pack change routes for weeks.
So this dog box bedding is
But the hardest part was not hiding the trap. The hardest part was understanding the mind of the wolf. Adult wolves rarely rush into anything new. They observe, they test, they sniff repeatedly before making a decision. This is why experts spend weeks monitoring behavior. Every new footprint on the ground, every camera angle, and every slight change in movement routes becomes an essential piece of a larger puzzle.
Yep.
Then, on a freezing night, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. On the monitoring screen, the silhouette of a large wolf appeared under infrared light. It moved slowly along the familiar corridor. No rush, no hesitation. Everything around it matched what it had seen for months. When the next step landed on the pre-calculated spot, the trap mechanism instantly triggered. The entire process happened in a fraction of a second. Rapid response teams quickly arrived at the scene to handle the situation according to wildlife management protocols. The system's goal was not to create a violent confrontation. Instead, everything was designed to minimize risk to humans, livestock, and the surrounding ecosystem. But the story did not end with a single capture. The remaining wolves quickly adapted. They changed routes, shifted activity times, and became more cautious. Once again, the strategic game began. Wolf control has never been just about a steel foothold trap. It is a battle of patience, observation, and understanding one of North America's most intelligent predators. In that vast forest, where every footprint tells its own story, victory does not belong to the stronger side. It belongs to the one who understands the opponent's behavior better than anyone else.
Feed the pack for several days, but then
Across vast forests and wilderness areas, wolves have long been symbols of the wild and of nature's resilience. They are intelligent predators that can adapt to changing conditions and find ways to survive even in difficult environments. But as natural food sources decline and habitats continue to change, the line between wilderness and human communities has become less clear. What has caused these animals, once known for avoiding people, to appear more frequently near farms and livestock operations? Today, we take a closer look at wolves and the ways people manage their growing presence around rural areas. Wolves live in a variety of habitats, including forests, mountains, and grasslands. Their adaptability allows them to survive in conditions that many other predators would find challenging. Under normal circumstances, they depend on wild prey for food. However, when prey numbers decline or habitats shrink, wolf packs often expand their range in search of new resources. Areas near forests that contain livestock, leftover feed, or poorly protected animals quickly become attractive alternatives. At first, these visits may be rare, but over time they often become more frequent.
버티고 있다.
Unlike many other wild animals, wolves are extremely cautious when moving near human settlements. They usually appear at night or in the early morning when human activity is at its lowest. Sometimes they travel in small packs, while other times a lone wolf may move through an area by itself. Over time, many wolves establish regular travel routes and return to the same locations repeatedly. This pattern makes it easier for residents to notice tracks, hear distant howls, and recognize other unusual signs around their communities. As wolf activity increases, farms and livestock operations begin facing greater challenges. Cattle, sheep, poultry, and other domestic animals can become vulnerable targets. Many landowners discover tracks around barns and fences, hear strange noises after dark, or find that animals have disappeared overnight. Beyond the economic losses, the presence of wolves can also create concern among people living near forested areas. For this reason, monitoring wolf activity becomes an important step in reducing risks before situations become more serious. Once areas frequently used by wolves have been identified, trap systems are often placed along routes the animals regularly travel, especially near fences, trails, and natural corridors. Throughout the process, the surrounding environment is kept as unchanged as possible to avoid influencing the wolves' natural behavior. At the same time, observations are conducted from a safe distance to minimize human presence. The goal is not only to capture wolves when necessary, but also to better understand their movement patterns. After many days of monitoring, the critical moment finally arrives. Several wolves are successfully contained within an area prepared in advance. This result shows that the trap locations closely match the routes the animals were using. It also highlights the importance of studying movement patterns when managing wildlife activity. However, the root cause of the issue remains the same. As natural food sources decline and human development expands into former wilderness, wolves are often left with few options other than moving closer to people in search of food. Managing wolves is about more than simply keeping them out of residential areas or protecting farms from attacks. It requires long-term monitoring, behavioral analysis, and an understanding of the environmental changes taking place across the ecosystem. By understanding why wolves are leaving their natural habitats, people can develop more effective and sustainable management strategies. These efforts help protect livestock and local communities while reducing conflicts between humans and wolves, creating a better balance between human development and nature